All right, we are ready to power this up. We have plugged it into 120 volts, 20 amp breaker. We're using a big heavy cord, it's 12 gauge or bigger, to run it so we don't lose any amperage. You're going to use your power button right up at the top. You're going to push this, you hear the motor run. That's going to take a little bit before everything starts to happen because you'll see the level of the oil is going down. It's filling the cylinder underneath. Once the cylinder gets full, it'll start pulling the rod, tightening the cables up. Now if you look under, you'll see the rod moving underneath the lift. Before we get total pressure on it, is that all of our cables are on the secondary pulleys. Before we get too tight, we want to make sure that our cables are in this pulley for our secondary lock on all four corners, because when the slack is coming off, sometimes that can come off. So you just want to make a walk around, make sure that your cables are in the grooves of each pulley before you get it too tight. Which in this case, they are all on. Let me explain to you how that secondary lock works. So this is a lock that is inside this post. So I have a second lock. This cable, when it's got tension on it, holds the lock open. So it's never going to be used. The only time this will ever get used is if this cable fails for some reason, then this is spring loaded and this would pop open and the lock would engage into the post, keeping this from ever coming down onto another lock. It's a safety feature that's built in there if there was a problem with the cable. As another thing I want to bring to your attention is our cable block. The cable block is hooked to the end of this cylinder. You know, when you make this cylinder, it's honed out, and so it wants to do a little turning. So when this cable block goes in and out, you'll see other lifts that this block will turn sideways. And at the very top, this will drag against the bottom of your runway, making a scratch. We put some little rubber stops on the bottom of this, and so at the very top, so now when it does get cockeyed, it's going to be rubbing up against that bumper stop, not making a mar on your finished product. You'll also notice that we have adjustments on our cables underneath as well as on top. So I want you to look at the size of this swedge. This swedge is a 3.5 inch swedge, meaning that's been pressed onto that cable, where you'll see a lot of the competitors only use a 1 inch swedge. So this just gives you more of the cable being gripped with the 3.5 inch swedge. And then you'll notice there's adjustments on this back side as well, so you get full adjustments of your cables. Now that we've got it up a little bit off the locks, now we're going to open up our locks and we're going to lower this the first time all the way to the bottom, and it's going to let the air out of the system. So it bleeds the cylinder automatically. There's nothing you have to do but just take it down. This first time you'll hear here in just a little bit when the lift gets to the bottom that the air will bubble back into the tank. You see the lift kind of jerking going down. It's because it's pushing up against the air in the cylinder. That'll go away once we get it bled. Starting to bubble back up. Now the lift is all the way down. It's been bled. Now we're able to come back up and we're going to do adjustments to this to get our cables right. And you'll notice the first time down, with being an outside slider, it aligns your post at the same time, which is really nice versus the C channel type lifts.